The most painful deaths in Mortal Kombat history. That's right, the video title says it all. Mortal Kombat is obviously famous for its fatalities. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. So today, I'm ranking the most wild and brutal deaths in the entire series. Notice I didn't say fatalities, by the way, because that video's been made over 100 times by now. So no, my video is ranking deaths that actually happened, aka they're canon, a permanent part of the story. And some of them get crazy, you aren't prepared. YouTube, please be nice to my video today. For everyone else, please leave a like if you love Mortal Kombat violence, because I know I do. Don't get it twisted, I'm mostly here for the gameplay, but the violence pays the bills, and I want sequels, because how else is Su Hao gonna come back? That's right, leave a like so my king can return. But for anyone new to this channel, I'm trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026, so let's do it together. If you like what you see, subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any future content. Alright everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. Okay, here we go, the most painful deaths in Mortal Kombat history. I'm not going chronologically, it's all out of order. But first up is Tanya's death in Deception, mauled to death by Tarkatans. That's right, the filthy toothers. I think it's low-key implied they ate her too along the way, so she was beaten to death, stabbed to death, and eaten to death all at the same time. Yeah, because those filthy barakas are nasty, alright? Kano was right, I keep saying this, exterminating the Tarkatans was a noble idea. Because look what's happening on screen, these creatures are demons, they gotta go. You will never catch me sympathizing with those filthy toothers. However, if I had to rank this death, being mauled to death and eaten alive at the same time, holy shit. Yeah, it's going in holy shit tier. Because as you'll see, there's worse deaths in this video, but man, getting eaten alive and mauled to death is pretty bad. So it's not quite top tier, but it's up there. Next up is Sub-Zero's death in the very first Mortal Kombat. That's right, my favorite character, Blueberry Ice himself, is actually the first death in the series canonically. Getting burned alive by Scorpion. Yeah, and I think people gloss over how terrible that would be. Immolation is considered the top one worst way to die, realistically. In other words, a common death that could happen to anybody, right? Any of us could get stuck in a house fire and burned to death, right? It could happen. Or maybe trapped in a car after a crash, right? Burned alive. It could realistically happen to any of us, and many consider it the worst possible way to die. Now, with that being said, it's a realistic death, right? It's not that over the top, and it's also not very humiliating, so I'm still putting it in holy shit. Like, yeah, it's bad, but it's not you'll see what is later on. Actually, no, you're gonna see it right now because it's third on my list, Reiko's death in the Mortal Kombat X comics. That's right, many of you watching don't know this, but Reiko played a big role in the NetherRealm reboot timeline, and it's detailed in the comic books. But unfortunately for Reiko, havoc happened, right? And this man guarantees you die a hilariously awful death. Turns out he used Reiko to summon Shinnok's amulet somehow with blood magic, and the blowback from the blood magic was so intense that Reiko's entire body got melted in real time. That's right, not burned, melted. And you can tell in the comic that he's feeling it the entire time. It's not instant death. This man was turned into human pudding and felt the whole thing. That's terrible, and it looks embarrassing too. Which maybe I'm weird for saying that, but to me, dying embarrassingly and painful just makes it worse, right? Even if the pain is equal, making the death embarrassing, I hate the idea of that. I hate the idea of going out while looking goofy, turning into a wax figure. I hate that idea. Oh my god, this one's bad too. Shao Kahn getting eaten alive. Yeah, we glossed over this in Mortal Kombat 9. The Elder Gods don't fry him with energy. No, we clearly see him getting eaten alive by the tiny dragon Elder Gods. I don't know why they manifest as tiny dragons. It's kind of cute, kind of adorable, unless you're Shao Kahn, because he's getting gnawed alive by these things. Yeah, it's heavily implied they eat him to death off screen. Which, I mean, yeah, the guy does kind of deserve it. Think about his body count. Pause. Not that kind of body count. I'm talking from war, right? This man's conquered entire realms. He's got so many bodies. So in a way, he definitely does deserve to go out this way, but eaten alive by tiny dragons. No, that's pretty bad. That's gonna go in actually, maybe just really bad? No, I mean, come on. Yeah, this is definitely going in because keep in mind how durable Shao Kahn is at this point. He's not dying quickly. But this next one's just kind of funny. So the way Kano dies in Shaolin Monks, he gets thrown onto this pedestal that rises up into the Colosseum Coliseum, and then off screen something mauls him to death. So he's flayed alive by some creature of unknown origin, but it must have been big and very powerful. However, the death is very quick, so it's not going in the top tiers. Instead, it's going in oof, because what an embarrassing way to die. You're thrown onto a pedestal and just risen up to be flayed alive. Yeah, embarrassing to be sure, but honestly couldn't have happened to a worse guy. Kano deserves the lame deaths, alright? He just does. But Sonya does not, and she's next on this list. So at the start of MK9, we see how several characters were killed. Baraka, for example, was sawed in half by Kung Lao's hat, but Sonya was ripped down the middle, just clean ripped in half. She got sentryed, alright? Just like Carnage in the Marvel comics. She was torn clean in half, which I doubt I can show on YouTube. Maybe I'll put a smiley face in the middle or something, but Sonya herself has not taken any damage really, aside from being torn in half, so you know that's what did her in. And yeah, I think that goes in the really bad category, because you're not eaten alive or anything wild like that, but getting ripped in half would still suck pretty hard. Pause. It would suck really bad. Hence the really bad ranking. Alright, moving on. Mileena getting bugged to death by Devora, the Kiss of Death. This might be the most infamous fatality in Mortal Kombat, mainly because Mileena's got an army of simps. Alright, I'll come out and say it. There's also regular fans like me and you watching, right? We're both normal, but there's a crazy army of simps who love Mileena, and this death really upset them. But that's beside the point. The death itself is wild. So Devora kisses Mileena to deliver bugs into her body, which proceed to eat her alive from the inside out. Yeah, it's really bad. It's hardcore, man. They eat her face too, but the gut is what gets me, right? You see her entire stomach like hollowed out by the bugs. These things went wild on them guts. Pause. There's so many pauses in today's video. Mileena's guts got torn up, that's all I'm saying, alright? By the way, this video has like no script. It's just the deaths, and then I'm going out and just wilding. I hope it's funny and entertaining. Oh yeah, the ranking. Ah! Mileena's definitely going in. Ah! Can you imagine the creepy crawlies eating you out from the inside? That's like a top 1 worst way to die. I'm not even gonna argue that. I think that might be the worst way to go out. Thankfully, for real people like you and I, it's not a realistic way to die. I'm sure some people have in Africa by like bullet ants and stuff, but for regular people in modern day, it's not a realistic death, so we're good. We're safe, in other words. But how about getting beaten to death? Because this fatality predates the entire series. The great Kung Lao was killed by Goro, beaten to death. Yeah, which might not sound too crazy compared to other deaths in this video, but just think for a second how terrible that would be to get beaten to death by a 4-armed monster. And you just know he's roasting you the entire time, saying, bro, you thought your 2 arms could compete? I got 4 hands. Try and catch all of them with your 2 hands, you little bipedal loser. Well, bi-armal. What's the word for like hands? Like a manicure? So bi-manal? It's hard to say. Or rather, I don't know. But yeah, getting beaten to death by a 4-armed monster while everyone watches at the tournament would definitely suck. So oof, it's going in oof. That's a bad way to go out. And the great Kung Lao did not deserve it. Keep in mind, he beat Shang Tsung in the previous tournament. So the GOAT, alright? He's the GOAT. I don't think he even threw fireballs like Liu Kang. The great Kung Lao was just a great fighter, and that's how he won, which is very respectful. Imagine beating Shang Tsung with all of his tricks and nonsense by just straight up fisting him. Pause. Alright, last but not least, we have Shinnok's death in Mortal Kombat X. But is it a death? Here's what I'm saying, okay? Follow with me. After getting girl bossed by Cassie Cage, Raiden decapitated Shinnok, but this doesn't kill him because apparently elder gods can't die, at least not in the same way you and I can. But they can be separated. He decapitated Shinnok at the very top of his neck, right? Meaning no vocal cords or anything, so the guy can't even speak, but is permanently alive in that state, and it's clearly painful. Like, yeah, we know it is because Shinnok's eyes keep moving and he's looking around, but he's not all there. So yeah, Raiden was right. This is definitely a fate worse than death. Because not only is permanent death painful for all of eternity because you can't die, but also it's embarrassing. You're looking mad goofy as just a head on the table like that, you know? Then later on, his revenants, right, his own undead army, they use his head as a battery. So man, that's beyond disrespectful. Yeah, I'm not sure where to rank this one. I wouldn't say but maybe it is, you know? Let me know your rankings in the comments because I'm gonna put it in really bad. I think it's really bad, but it's not holy shit or it's not oof either because it is actually painful, not just embarrassing. It almost deserves its own category, doesn't it? But yeah, I think that's it for today's video, everyone. There's a lot of deaths in Mortal Kombat history, but many of them are quick or just not that dramatic, like getting decapitated, like getting your head blown to bits or being blown up by a bomb or something. There's tons of deaths in the Mortal Kombat series that are kind of underwhelming and not that flashy. Also neck snapping. There's lots of neck snapping in the Mortal Kombat universe, not just Kung Lao, like many of you are joking and thinking about right now. No. So Liu Kang and Shang Tsung also got their neck snapped. A lot of characters getting done in by the necky twisty. But yeah, hopefully it was fun and you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It helps the channel out a ton. And then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Like mentioned earlier at the very start of today's video, I'm trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026, and that deadline is quickly approaching. We're most likely not gonna make it, but hey, let's try, right? Never go quietly, always fight your hardest up until the very end. We don't slow down before the finish line, not on this channel. So alright everyone, make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.